3 days passed quickly. Olivia learned more about Eldrathi culture than any human xenobiologist could have dreamed. She trained with Terrace, improving her combat skills. She studied with Vex, learning diplomatic protocols. She spent hours with Kira, mastering the basics of crystal technology. Most importantly, she spent time with Queen Lysithea. Their bond growing stronger each day. They developed a routine walking the crystal gardens in the morning, discussing politics over meals, training together in the royal combat chamber. In the evenings, they would talk about their different worlds, their different lives, finding surprising connections despite their alien differences. Each night, Olivia stayed with Lysithea, keeping the nightmares at bay. Their sleeping arrangement remained innocent but intimate, the queen's mind reaching for hers in sleep, their bond humming with contentment. Nyx the dragon was never far from them. The great beast seemed to have accepted Olivia completely. Sometimes, during their walks, the dragon would nudge Olivia with her massive head, demanding attention like an oversized cat. When Olivia placed her hand on the dragon's scales, she could feel Nyx's emotions, simpler than Lysithea's, but powerful, protective, loyal, curious. The day of the diplomatic meeting arrived. Olivia woke early, finding Lysithea already dressed in her most formal royal armor, the shifting material gleaming with inner light. The crown of living crystal pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "You look worried," said the queen, studying Olivia's face. Her ability to read human expressions had improved rapidly. Olivia nodded, adjusting her own ceremonial consort armor, a blend of Eldrathi design and Alliance military styling. "I'm about to introduce my queen to my captain." Two worlds that never knew the other existed. "I think a little worry is justified." Lysithea touched Olivia's face gently, a gesture that had become familiar between them. "Your people will see our worth through your eyes. Your captain trusts you." "It's not just the meeting," said Olivia, voicing a concern that had grown over the past days. "The binding. I need to explain it somehow. Make them understand why I can't leave." Through their bond flowed the queen's understanding, and beneath it, fear. The thought of Olivia leaving triggered instinctive panic in Lysithea. Not just political concern, but personal. The binding connected them now on a fundamental level. "You could tell them the truth," suggested Lysithea. "That without the bond, my mind would destabilize. My dragon would rage. The city would fall." Olivia smiled wryly. "Yes. I'm sure explaining that my alien wife will go mad, and her pet dragon will destroy the planet if I leave, will go over very well with Alliance command wife." Lysithea tilted her head, the swirling patterns in her eyes slowing. "Is that how you see our bond?" Olivia blushed, realizing what she'd said. "In my culture, the closest equivalent to consort would be spouse, wife, or husband. A life partner." The queen considered. "This I find. I do not dislike the term." She smiled, a rare expression that transformed her alien features. Her hand found Olivia's. "Let us meet your people, wife." The meeting was arranged in a neutral location, a crystal pavilion on the surface outside, the hidden city. For the first time in centuries, the Eldrathi had allowed their dimensional shields to part, revealing their true presence on KR7 Captain. Laura arrived first with a small delegation, including Security Chief Natalie and Science Officer Catherine. The Alliance officers wore their formal blue and gold uniforms, weapons visibly holstered but present. Their faces showed poorly concealed shock when they saw Olivia in her consort regalia standing beside the tall alien queen commander. "Mason," said Captain Laura, her eyes taking in Olivia's transformed appearance. "The bond you mentioned, it appears quite literal." The captain's dry tone made Olivia smile despite her nerves. It seemed so long ago that she had served aboard the Nebula Seeker, though in reality it had been less than a week. "Captain Laura, may I present Queen Lysithea of the Eldrathi, sovereign ruler of the hidden city of Astralis." The formal introductions proceeded smoothly, the Alliance officers bowing respectfully to the Queen, the Eldrathi nobles, including Vex, performing their own greeting rituals. Nyx remained partially hidden, her massive form concealed behind a crystal outcropping. Lysithea had suggested keeping the dragon out of initial negotiations to avoid intimidating the humans' captain. Laura studied Olivia closely. "You look well, Commander." "Different, but well am still me," Captain assured Olivia, Just with some additions, additions echoed. Security Chief Natalie, her hand never straying far from her weapon, like that crown thing you're wearing, or those patterns forming in your eyes. Olivia froze, reaching up to touch her forehead, where a small circlet of crystal now rested. Her eyes. She had avoided mirrors, recently focused on preparations. What patterns? Science. Officer Catherine stepped forward, scanning Olivia with a handheld device. Fascinating, she murmured. The neural activity in your frontal lobe is unlike anything I've ever seen. Almost as if Catherine's eyes widened as she looked from Olivia to Lysithea. And back, your brains are synchronized, Commander, through the bond. Olivia felt Lysithea's concern and sent back reassurance. This was expected. The physical signs of their connection becoming visible. Let's discuss this, civilly suggested Captain Laura. The pavilion. They settled around a crystal table that grew from the ground at Lysithea's gesture. Refreshments appeared, brought by Eldrathi servants, Alliance officers on one side, Eldrathi nobles on the other, Olivia and Lysithea at the head, where they belonged. Together, Captain Laura began the formal negotiations. Your civilization has remained hidden for how long exactly? 10,000 years by your calendar, said Vex. Since the fall of our empire and the beginning of the curse. Catherine leaned forward, eager for knowledge. And this curse? It affects the royal bloodline. You mentioned it requires Commander Mason to remain here as some kind of stabilizing influence. Olivia felt Lysithea's hesitation through their bond. The Queen, reluctant to reveal such vulnerability. I will explain, she said gently to Lysithea, then turned to her former crewmates. The Eldrathi Queens possess unique neural patterns that allow them to bond with and control stellar dragons, creatures with immense power. The curse is a bioweapon that destabilizes those neural patterns. Without a secondary bond to anchor them, the Queen's mind would deteriorate. And the dragon, asked Natalie suspiciously, would feel her madness through their bond and respond with destructive force, finished Olivia. A mad dragon can destroy worlds, Captain. Literally, not metaphorically, Captain. Laura absorbed this, her expression calculating. So your presence here is a matter of planetary security. More than that, admitted Olivia. Without the bond, Queen Lysithea would eventually lose control. The curse would consume her. That would lead to catastrophic consequences. Not just for KR7, but potentially for neighboring systems. But surely there are other solutions, pressed Catherine. Medical interventions, neural stabilizers. We have tried every remedy in 10,000 years, said Vex, his voice sharp. Only the binding works. What exactly is this binding? Asked Captain Laura, her eyes narrowed. You keep using that term, Commander, but you've been vague on details. Olivia took a deep breath, feeling Lysithea's support through their bond. When I looked into the Queen's eyes, it triggered a neural connection. Our minds linked. That connection stabilizes the patterns in her brain, preventing the curse from taking hold. It requires proximity, at least initially. Later, once fully established, it can stretch across some distance. But separation too soon would kill you both. Finished. Catherine, her scientific mind, grasping the implications. The feedback loop would be fatal. Exactly, said Olivia. The meeting continued for hours. Alliance officers asking questions about Eldrathi technology, their history, their intentions. Eldrathi nobles inquiring about Alliance governance, its territories, its military capabilities. Throughout it all, Olivia served as bridge between species, between cultures. Her unique position as both human and consort, allowing her to explain, translate mediate. When they broke for a recess, Captain Laura pulled Olivia aside, her expression concerned. This is quite a situation you've gotten yourself into. Commander. Olivia nodded. I know it sounds insane, Captain, but the bond is real. The danger is real. And she hesitated, looking across the pavilion where Lysithea stood in conversation with Vex, the Queen's profile regal in the alien sunlight. Her presence in Olivia's mind a constant comfort. And I'm finding my place here matters, Captain. Laura studied her former officer closely. You've changed, Mason. Those patterns in your eyes, They're subtle, but they're there. Swirls of gold like hers. And your speech patterns have shifted. You stand differently, it's the bond said. Olivia. Some bleed through as expected. But am still me. Captain. Still loyal to the Alliance. I just have new loyalties too. The security of an entire planet depends on you staying here, said Captain Laura thoughtfully. How convenient for them, Olivia bristled, feeling defensive of Lysithea and the Eldrathi. It's not a trick, Captain. I've seen the Queen's memories, felt her struggle against the curse. The bond is saving her life. And maybe opening diplomatic relations between our peoples is worth my personal sacrifice. Laura sighed. I can't order you back, Commander. Not if what you're saying is true, and your medical scans do show significant neural changes, but the Alliance will want something in return for losing one of its best xenobiologists. The negotiations continued. Alliance requests for technology exchange, knowledge sharing, mining rights, Eldrathi counters, requesting privacy guarantees, protection from other species. Limited human presence on KR-7A's sunset approached. They reached tentative agreements. Olivia would remain as consort to Queen Lysithea. The communication chamber was unlike anything Olivia had seen before. A spherical room with walls made of shifting crystal, the ceiling open to the sky. Above them, the Alliance ships were visible as tiny points of light moving against the purple. Clouds. Captain Laura. This is Commander Olivia Mason. Do you read me? Olivia spoke into a crystal device that Vex had configured to transmit on Alliance frequencies. Static crackled. Then a familiar voice burst through. Commander Mason. Where in the 7 systems are you? We've been searching for hours. The relief in her captain's voice made Olivia smile. Captain M, alive and unharmed. But I need you to order all ships to cease fire immediately. Cease fire echoed. Captain Laura. We detected energy weapons, firing at our scout vessels. Those are automated defenses, explained Olivia, looking at Lysithea, who stood nearby monitoring the exchange through their bond. I'm inside a hidden city, Captain. The ruins we detected are actually an active civilization, the Eldrathi. They exist partially in another dimension, which is why our scans didn't detect them. A long silence followed. Then Captain Laura's voice returned, cautious. You found living aliens, and they're letting you communicate with us. More than that, said Olivia, taking a deep breath. I've made first contact, and due to certain circumstances I need to remain here as a liaison. The bond with Lysithea flared with approval. The Queen had not expected Olivia to be so diplomatic in explaining their situation. Captain, Laura sounded suspicious. Commander, this sounds like a hostage situation. Are you under duress? Blink twice if you need extraction. Olivia almost laughed. No, Captain, I'm not under duress. It's complicated. The Eldrathi royal family has a unique biology. Their Queen and I have formed a diplomatic bond that requires my presence here. Think of me as an instant ambassador. The mental connection with Lysithea hummed with amusement. The Queen finding Olivia's creative truth, telling impressive, our scans show unusual energy signatures coming from your location, Captain Laura said. We detected what appeared to be a massive heat source moving near you. Some kind of weapon. That would be Nyx, said Olivia. And she's not exactly a weapon. She's more like a royal companion. I can explain everything, but first I need you to stand down your ships before the automated defenses escalate. Through the crystal walls, Olivia could see Eldrathi warriors mobilizing their own ships, small crystalline vessels that could presumably shift between dimensions like the city itself. If the Alliance ships continued their approach, a real battle might begin. Captain Laura. Please trust me, said Olivia. This is a peaceful civilization. They hid from us. They didn't attack us. I crashed in my scout ship and discovered them by accident. Now I have a chance to establish diplomatic relations. This could be the most significant first contact in Alliance history. There was a long pause. Then Captain Laura responded. All ships, stand down, maintain orbit range. The captain's voice softened. Commander, you always did have a knack for finding trouble. Are you sure you're safe? Am safe? Confirmed Olivia. And am asking for time, Captain. Give me 3 days to establish proper diplomatic protocols. Then we can arrange a formal meeting. 3 days, repeated Captain Laura. I don't like leaving you down there alone. Am not alone, said Olivia, looking at Lysithea, whose swirling eyes met hers with understanding. With the Queen. Captain Laura sighed audibly. Very well, Commander. 3 days, but I want daily check-ins. And at the first sign of trouble, we're coming in weapons hot. The communication ended. Olivia turned to Lysithea and Vex. Thank you for allowing that. The crisis is postponed, not ended, said Vex, his expression grim. You speak of diplomatic relations, but our people have hidden for millennia for good reason. The last time we engaged with other species, it ended in war and the curse, but you can't hide forever, argued Olivia. The Alliance is expanding its exploration. They would have found you eventually. Better to control the circumstances of that discovery. Lysithea placed a hand on Olivia's arm. Through their bond flowed the Queen's complex emotions, concern, hope, fear, pride. I believe you are right, consort. The old ways have kept us safe, but perhaps at too great a cost. My people have been trapped on this world for generations, our numbers dwindling, our future uncertain. The Queen's admission surprised Vex Majesty. You cannot be considering genuine alliance with these humans. Olivia felt Lysithea's resolve hardening through their connection. I am Queen Vex. I will consider all paths that might benefit our people. With the binding stabilizing my mind, I can contemplate possibilities that were too dangerous before. Nyx the dragon had followed them to the communication chamber. The great beast settled behind Lysithea protectively, but Olivia now realized the protection extended to her as well. Through their three-way bond, she felt the dragon's alertness, her readiness to defend both of them. A guard approached, bowing low. Majesty, the outer defenses have disengaged. The Alliance ships maintain their distance. Good, said Lysithea. Now we must prepare Olivia for her role as consort and diplomat. She must learn our ways, our history, our technology if she is to represent us to her people. The next hours passed in a blur of information and instruction. Olivia was taken to the Royal Library, a vast chamber where knowledge was stored not in books but in crystal shards, each crystal containing memories and information. When touched, they transferred knowledge directly to the mind. Olivia learned about Eldrazi's social structure. The Queen ruled absolutely, but with the council of the Shadowborn advisors like Vex who were immune to her mental influence. Royal dragons bonded only with Queen's blood, and only one dragon per queen. The common people lived in harmony with the grown crystal technology that sustained their hidden city. She learned about the curse in greater detail, how it had been engineered by their ancient enemies, the Voidborn, to target the special neural patterns that allowed queens to bond with dragons, how it caused the queens' minds to fracture under stress, how the madness would spread to their bonded dragons, causing the creatures to rage across star systems, destroying worlds. She learned about the binding, how it created a stabilizing influence on the queen's mind, how consorts traditionally came from noble Eldrazi families, how some in the past had gone mad themselves from the connection, how none had ever been from another species. This information made her position all the more precarious. She was an experiment, a desperate gamble, by a young queen. The first non-Eldrazi consort, asked Olivia during a brief rest period. Kira, who had been assigned as her permanent attendant, nodded. The first in all our history. Some feared it would not work at all, that your human brain would be incompatible, that you would die in the binding. Others feared it would work too well, that you would lose yourself, become an extension of the Queen. Has that happened before? Asked Olivia, suddenly concerned. With weak-minded consorts, yes, said Kira. Their personalities gradually faded, absorbed by the stronger will of the Queen. But you, she studied Olivia with newfound respect. Your mind is strong. The Queen feels it. She told me herself. You push back without even trying. This was simultaneously reassuring and terrifying. Olivia was keeping her identity, but that meant she was challenging the Queen in some fundamental way. Is that dangerous? Asked Olivia. Kira considered the question. For an Eldrazi consort, Yes, it would be seen as resistance, punishable by separation. But you are not Eldrathi. The old rules may not apply. The Queen seems fascinated by your difference, not angered. After the library came combat training. Lysithea insisted that her consort learn to defend herself. Eldrathi. Fighting styles were fluid, adaptable, focusing on using an opponent's energy against them. The Queen's personal guard, a stern female warrior named Terrace, taught Olivia the basics. Your body is weak by our standards, said Terrace not unkindly. But your reflexes are good. You learn quickly for a human. The physical training exhausted Olivia, but she pushed through knowing she needed to earn respect. The bond with Lysithea remained constant, sometimes flaring with emotions when they were in the same room, there times a distant awareness when they were apart. She could feel the Queen's interest in her progress, the Queen's pride when she mastered a new skill. By nightfall, Olivia was ready to collapse. She was taken to her new quarters, adjacent to the Queen's royal chambers. The room was beautiful, with walls that shifted color based on her mood, and a bed that seemed to float above the floor. Kira helped her remove the ceremonial armor. I will be nearby if you need anything. Rest well, consort. Tomorrow brings more challenges. Alone, finally, Olivia sank onto the bed, her mind spinning with everything she'd learned, her body aching from training, her thoughts constantly aware of Lysithea somewhere nearby through their bond. She closed her eyes, trying to process how completely her life had changed in a single day, from scientist to consort, from explorer to diplomat, from human to something perhaps more than human. She must have fallen asleep, because suddenly she was awake again. The room dark except for the glow of 3 moons through the crystal ceiling. Something had disturbed her. The bond with Lysithea pulsed with distress. Olivia sat up alert. She could feel the Queen's emotions, chaotic, frightened, in pain. Without thinking, she rushed to the connecting door between their chambers, finding it unlocked. The Queen's bedroom was larger than hers, the bed a massive crystal structure. Lysithea lay there thrashing in her sleep, her face contorted, her nightclothes soaked with sweat, the swirling patterns in, her eyes visible even through closed eyelids spinning frantically. A nightmare, realized Olivia. But through their bond, she felt it was more the curse attacking during sleep when the Queen's defenses were. The chamber of binding glowed with light that seemed alive. The floor beneath Olivia's feet pulsed with energy as she approached Queen Lysithea. The ceiling above opened to reveal the 3 moons of KR7 perfectly aligned in the night sky. Eldrathi. Nobles lined the walls, watching in silence. Their faces showed various emotions, from curiosity to disapproval. Some looked at Olivia with open hostility, others with pity. None seemed happy about an outsider joining their queen. The dragon Nyx raised, its massive head tracking Olivia's every step. Its scales shifted from emerald green to molten gold as if its skin contained fire. The creature was even larger than Olivia had first thought, easily the size of an Alliance shuttle. Its 6 limbs ended in claws that could tear through metal, and its wings, when partly unfurled, spanned the width of the chamber queen. Lysithea stood tall and regal on a crystal platform. Her armor, now white and silver, seemed to capture and redirect the moonlight. Her eyes, those swirling amber galaxies, fixed on Olivia, with an intensity that made the human feel both seen and exposed. "You have come," said the Queen, her voice resonating with those strange harmonics. "The connection calls to you as it calls to me." Olivia stopped at the base of the platform, looking up at the alien Queen. "Yes, I feel it," she admitted, "a pull like gravity. But in my mind," Lysithea extended one slender hand, "the final binding requires physical contact and mutual consent. Once done, it cannot be undone in life." "Do you still choose this path?" Olivia hesitated. The rational part of her brain screamed that this was madness, that she should find another way, escape, somehow contact her ship. But the part of her mind that could already feel the Queen's presence knew there was no going back. The connection had begun the moment their eyes met. This ceremony would only complete what was already in motion. Besides, where would she go? The city remained hidden from Alliance sensors. She was effectively trapped. And something else tugged at her, a scientist's insatiable curiosity. What would it be like to share a bond with this ancient being, to touch a mind so different from her own, to perhaps live for centuries? "I consent," said Olivia, taking a deep breath and reaching for the Queen's hand. Their fingers touched and the world exploded into sensation. Olivia felt Lysithea's mind rush into hers like a tide of stardust and ancient memory. Colors, emotions, images, centuries of life flowed between them. The Queen's joy at bonding with her first dragon Nyx hatching from a crystal egg, directly into Lysithea's mental embrace. The weight of rule, the constant fight against the curse, the daily struggle to maintain sanity, the loneliness of power, the fear of madness in return. Olivia felt her own memories and emotions pour into the Queen, her childhood on Earth, the wonder of her first spaceflight, the pride in earning her command, the curiosity that drove her to explore. The fear and excitement of this very moment through it all wove a third presence, Nyx. The dragon observed their bonding, her ancient mind touching both of theirs. The dragon's consciousness felt different, older, more primal, a creature of instinct and fire and loyalty. When the initial flood subsided, Olivia found herself still standing, though her legs trembled. Queen Lysithea looked equally affected, her perfect composure cracked to show wonder and confusion. So much life in so few years, breathed the Queen, studying Olivia with new eyes. "Your kind burns so bright." Olivia could still feel the Queen in her mind, but the overwhelming flood had settled into something manageable. A constant awareness, like knowing someone stands behind you without seeing them. She could sense the Queen's emotions. Her thoughts remained her own. "It is done," announced Vex, stepping forward from the crowd. "The binding is complete. Behold, Queen Lysithea and her royal consort, Commander Olivia Mason of Earth. May their union bring stability to the throne and the dragon." The gathered Eldrathi bowed, though many did so stiffly. Clearly not everyone approved of an alien consort. Nyx the dragon made a rumbling sound deep in her chest. She approached Olivia slowly, deliberately, her massive head lowered until it was level with the humans. Olivia remained still, fighting every instinct to run as the dragon's hot breath washed over her. Through the new bond she felt Lysithea's reassurance. "Nyx will accept you now. Feel no fear." The dragon opened her mouth, revealing teeth like obsidian daggers. A soft glow built in her throat. Olivia stood her ground, trusting the bond. Then Nyx did something unexpected. She pressed her forehead against Olivia's chest gently, the glow in her throat changing from threatening orange to a gentle blue. "She gives you her fire protection," said Lysithea with surprise in her voice. "That is rare, even for consorts." The gathered nobles murmured, clearly impressed, despite themselves. Olivia reached up hesitantly and placed her hand on the dragon's scaled head. The skin beneath her palm felt hot like metal in the sun, but did not burn. Nyx rumbled again, the sound almost like purring. A new awareness formed in Olivia's mind, separate from the bond with Lysithea. Simpler, more direct images of fire and flight and protection. The dragon's emotions, primal but powerful. Nyx saw Olivia as part of her Queen's mind now, an extension to be protected, a pack member. The doors to the chamber burst open, interrupting the ceremony. Guards rushed in, their crystal weapons drawn. Majesty shouted their leader. "Alliance ships have entered orbit." They scanned the surface. The connection with Lysithea flared with alarm. Olivia felt the Queen's fear, not for herself, but for her people, their hidden city, their very existence at risk of exposure. "They search for me," said Olivia. "My ship, the Nebula Seeker. They must have tracked my scout ships." "Crash, I can feel your loyalty to them," said Lysithea through their bond. "You wish to return?" "Yes," admitted Olivia. "But I also feel bound to you now. Both are true." The Queen turned to her guards. "Prepare our defenses, but do not attack. We will observe these alliance ships first." Vex stepped forward. "Majesty, revealing ourselves after millennia of hiding. This is dangerous. The Curses stabilize through the binding, said Lysithea. We have options now that we did not before. She turned to Olivia. What will your people do if they cannot find you? They will send search teams, said Olivia. Then more ships. Eventually they might use deep scanning technology that could detect your city even through its dimensional shifting. Through their bond. Olivia felt the Queen's rapid thoughts weighing options, considering scenarios. She also felt something else. The curse, stirring like a beast in the dark corners of Lysithea's mind. Even with the binding complete, the Queen fought against its pull. The madness was not cured, merely controlled. We must contact them, said Olivia. Let me speak to them. I can explain. The nobles erupted in protest, their voices blending together in opposition. Vex raised his hands for silence. Majesty, this outsider would expose us after all our centuries of safety. Would you trust our entire civilization to one who has been bound for mere minutes, I feel? Her mind answered Lysithea. She does not seek our harm, but her loyalties are divided. That is natural. Another guard rushed in. Majesty, the Alliance ships have launched smaller vessels. They descend toward the crash site. They will find nothing there, said Vex smugly. Our technology has already hidden the true wreckage. They will see only debris, not enough to confirm death. They will eventually leave. Olivia felt a surge of determination. She needed to contact her ship. Captain Laura would be worried. The entire crew would be searching, thinking she might be injured or dead. She couldn't let them waste resources or put themselves at risk. I need to send a message, she said firmly. The bond between them flared. Lysithea, sensing Olivia's resolve. You truly believe contact is best, yes, said Olivia. With respect to your advisors, hiding forever isn't sustainable. The Alliance will eventually find evidence of your civilization. Better to control that first contact, make it peaceful. A commotion from outside drew everyone's attention. Distant booms echoed through the city. The dragon Nyx raised her head, alert, growling. What is that? Demanded Lysithea. A guard activated a crystal device that projected an image into the air showing the outer edge of the hidden city. Alliance ships had somehow penetrated the dimensional barrier. Their weapons firing not at the city, but at defense systems that had automatically activated. How? Asked Vex in shock. Their technology should not be capable. My scout ship, answered Olivia with sudden understanding. It had Eldrathi technology on it from the crash. Your defenses must have activated around it, leaving traces our scanners could follow. Lysithea strode from the platform, her armor shifting to battle configuration. We must stop this before blood is shed. As she moved, Olivia felt a sharp pain in her mind. The Queen staggered, clutching her head. The stress, Olivia realized. The conflict was triggering the curse. The Queen's emotions becoming chaotic affected the stability of her mind. Nyx roared, her scales heating until they glowed. The dragon thrashed her tail, destroying pillars. Fire built in her mouth. The bond between dragon and queen meant Nyx felt Lysithea's mental distress and responded with protective rage. Stop, shouted Olivia, running to Lysithea. She grabbed the Queen's shoulders, forcing eye contact. Listen to me. Focus on my mind. Use our bond. Their mental connection surged. Olivia deliberately projecting calm, steady thoughts. The Queen latched onto them like a drowning person grasping a lifeline. Slowly, Lysithea's breathing steadied. The swirling in her eyes slowed from frantic spirals to steady patterns. Nyx, too, calmed her scales, cooling. The immediate danger past. Our defenses will kill your people if this continues, said Lysithea weakly. The systems are ancient, designed to eliminate any who find us. They cannot distinguish friend from foe. Then we need to shut them down, said Olivia. And I need to. I choose to live, said Olivia, her voice steadier than she felt. Queen Lysithea nodded once, the swirling patterns in her eyes speeding up with what might have been relief. The dragon Nyx made a sound, between a purr and a growl, the glow in its mouth. Fading. Wise choice, said the male advisor, his posture relaxing slightly. I am Vex, chief advisor to Her Majesty. Come, we must prepare you for the binding ceremony. Two guards appeared beside Olivia. They did not touch her, but their presence made it clear she should follow as they led her away from the great hall. The dragon remained with Queen Lysithea, watching Olivia leave with those glowing ember eyes. They took her through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. The architecture defied Earth physics, with rooms that appeared larger inside than outside and passages that curved in impossible ways. Everywhere Olivia looked, she saw the blend of crystal technology and organic material, as if the entire city had been grown rather than built. They arrived at a circular chamber with a pool of glowing blue liquid in its center. Female attendants waited there, their features similar to the queen, but less striking, less powerful. "This is Kira," said Vex, gesturing to one attendant who stepped forward. "She will prepare you for the ceremony." Vex left and Kira approached Olivia. Her eyes were normal compared to the queen's, blue irises without the swirling galactic patterns. She wore simple white robes with silver patterns that moved, slightly like slow lightning. "You are the first outsider to undergo the binding in 10,000 years, said Kira, her voice musical but without the strange harmonics of the queen's. "There is much you need to understand." Olivia squared her shoulders, trying to keep her scientific mind working despite the bizarre situation. "I need to understand everything. What is this curse? Why does your queen need to bind with someone who sees her eyes? What happens in this ceremony?" Kira gestured to the pool. "The water. We'll help you understand. Words alone are insufficient. The memories of our people will explain better than I can." Olivia looked skeptically at the glowing liquid. "That looks like something that would give me a nasty rash or worse." Kira almost smiled. "It is memory water, a technological creation of our ancestors. It will not harm you, but it will show you what you need to know." When Olivia still hesitated, Kira added softly, "Would you rather go into the binding blind, Commander, or with knowledge of what you face put that way?" The choice was obvious. Olivia approached the pool. "Just your hand," said Kira. "Only touch the surface with your fingers." Olivia knelt and slowly extended her right hand. When her fingertips touched the glowing liquid, images flooded her mind. She saw the Eldrathi as they once were, a mighty civilization spanning dozens of star systems. Their queens born with special neural patterns that allowed them to bond with and control the massive stellar dragons, creatures that could fold space around themselves to travel between stars. The dragons served as both weapons and transports, making the Eldrathi Empire undefeatable. Then came the war with a rival species called the Voidborn. The Voidborn feared the dragon's power and created a bioweapon that targeted the royal bloodline, a curse that disrupted the queen's neural patterns, making them unstable. Without stability, the bond with their dragons became dangerous. The queens would slip into madness, and the dragons. With them, a mad dragon was a planet killer, its fire hot enough to crack worlds. The Eldrathi discovered that the cursed queens could stabilize their neural patterns by forming a secondary bond with another sentient being. But this bond could only form through eye contact, which triggered a neurological connection. The deeper the initial connection, the stronger the stabilizing effect. The law of marriage or death came from necessity, not cruelty. An unbonded queen would eventually destroy everything around her. A bonded queen could rule with wisdom. Marriage was the most efficient way to maintain constant proximity for the stabilizing effect. The last images showed the Eldrathi Empire collapsing worlds, burning populations, fleeing the survivors, hiding on this world KR7, using ancient technology to create a city that existed partially in another dimension, concealed from sensors and sight. Olivia pulled her hand back, gasping. The images faded, but the knowledge remained. Her scientific mind raced, analyzing what she had seen. "So the queen needs me as a stabilizer for her mind," said Olivia. "And without that, her connection to the dragon becomes dangerous." Kira nodded. "Yes, the queen you met. Lysithea is young for our kind, only 300 years old, her powers still growing. The curse manifests stronger with each generation. She needs a stronger bond than her mother did or her grandmother." Olivia paced around the pool. "So this binding ceremony, what exactly happens? The bond that began." With eye contact must be completed, said Kira. Your minds will link more deeply. You will feel her emotions, she will feel yours. You will not share thoughts exactly but impressions, feelings, states of mind. The bond grows stronger with time and proximity. We must stay close to each other forever, asked Olivia, her heart sinking at the thought of never returning to Earth. Not forever, said Kira. Once established, the bond can stretch across some distance. But in the beginning, yes, you must remain close. As the bond strengthens, the required proximity lessens, but you will always feel a pull to return. Most consorts find separation painful after a time. The other attendants approached carrying what looked like ceremonial clothing. Something between armor and a dress made of the same shifting material as the Queen's, but in different colors. What about my people? Asked Olivia. My ship will search for me. The Alliance will send more ships. Kira exchanged glances with the other attendants. We have hidden from your kind for centuries. Our city exists between dimensions. Only those brought in can find it. But yes, your people will search. Once the binding is complete, the Queen may choose to reveal our existence to your alliance or not. That choice will be partly yours as consort. Olivia tried to process everything. The implications were enormous. First contact with an advanced species, a hidden civilization, living dragons, a mental bond with an alien queen. The scientist in her was fascinated. The human in her was terrified. Will I change? Asked Olivia. Will this bond change who I am? Kira considered this. You will remain yourself, but you will never be only yourself again. You will carry part of the Queen always, as she will carry part of you. The bond changes both. Over time, you may develop some traits similar to hers. Enhanced intuition, perhaps. Longer life, certainly. Our royal consorts live as long as the queens they serve. And how long do queens live? Asked Olivia. The oldest in our history lived 9,000 years, said Kira. But most choose to end their reign after 2,000 or 3,000. Olivia's mouth fell open. Thousands of years, the attendants began preparing the ceremonial clothing, seemingly unaware of Olivia's shock. Another question formed in her mind. The male advisor, Vex. He seemed to understand the situation well. Is he bonded to someone royal? Kira shook her head. Vex is Shadowborn, a special lineage bred to resist the Queen's mental influence. They cannot form bonds, but they can look upon the royal eyes without effect. They serve as advisors precisely because they remain unaffected, so I could have children who would be immune to this. Asked Olivia. If you bonded with one of our kind. Yes, said Kira. But such children are rare. The curse complicates reproduction. Queen's blood rarely mixes well with other bloodlines. Another attendant approached with a cup of silvery liquid. Drink, said Kira. This will help your mind prepare for the bond. Without it, the ceremony could overwhelm your human physiology. Olivia took the cup, studying the liquid inside. This won't make me hallucinate or anything, will it? I want to keep my wits. It will sharpen your mind, not dull. It said Kira. It prepares neural pathways for connection, Olivia. Drank. The liquid tasted like nothing she had ever experienced, neither sweet nor bitter, but somehow both and neither. Her mind felt suddenly clearer, as if a fog had lifted. She could sense something at the edges of her consciousness, a presence that must be Queen Lysithea. The ceremonial clothing was placed before her, a bodysuit of silver and blue that seemed to move slightly under the light. Over it went armor pieces that felt weightless despite their metallic appearance. The overall effect was a blend of warrior and diplomat. Through that door, said Kira, pointing. The Queen awaits in the chamber of binding. Nyx will be there too. Do not fear the dragon. She protects the Queen, but she will soon protect you as well. The bond extends to her, in a lesser way. Olivia took a deep breath, steadying herself. She had come to KR7 as a scientist seeking knowledge about ruins. Now she stood on the precipice of becoming something unprecedented, a human bound to an alien queen, a bridge between worlds. In the back of her mind, she wondered if she could someday use this position to establish peaceful contact between the Eldrathi and the Alliance. If she could turn this personal catastrophe into a diplomatic opportunity. The attendants finished their preparations and stepped back. The doors before her slowly opened, revealing a chamber beyond, filled with soft blue light. At its center stood Queen Lysithea, magnificent and terrifying. The dragon Nyx curled around the circular platform where the queen stood. The creature's scales shimmered with inner fire, its eyes fixed on Olivia with unmistakable intelligence. "It is time," said Kira softly from behind her. Olivia squared her shoulders and walked forward toward her new destiny, her mind already reaching out to the alien presence that waited to entwine with her own. Commander Olivia Mason never meant to discover the secret city. The mission was supposed to be simple orbit around planet KR7. Take some pictures and leave. No one was supposed to land. No one was supposed to meet the locals. And most important, no one was supposed to look directly at their queen. But space exploration never goes as planned. Olivia checked her oxygen levels as she trudged across the purple soil of KR7. Her white and blue uniform now stained with alien dust, she had lost contact with her ship, the Nebula Seeker, 4 hours ago when a strange storm appeared out of nowhere. Her small scout ship had crashed 2 miles back, and now she was following the only sign of civilization she could find, a thin trail of glowing blue rocks that seemed to form a path. The Alliance would send help eventually, but eventually could mean days. The sky above her swirled with violet clouds and 3 moons hung low on the horizon, making the landscape feel dreamlike. Something about this planet felt old, like walking through ancient history. The scientists had detected ruins from orbit, but what Olivia saw ahead looked far from ruined. A massive structure rose from behind a hill, its surface gleaming like pearl and crystal with towers that spiraled upward in impossible shapes. No ruins. These were active buildings with lights and movement. Olivia activated her wrist scanner. The readings made no sense. The structure seemed to exist, and not exist at the same time, as if it was partially in another dimension. The logical thing would be to hide and wait for rescue, but Olivia had not become the youngest xenobiologist commander in the Alliance by being logical. She had earned her position by following her curiosity. She approached the structure carefully, using the rocky terrain for cover. The entrance was an arch 3 times her height, carved with symbols that her translator could not decipher. As she got closer, she noticed movement figures that looked almost human, but not quite. They moved with strange grace, their bodies tall and thin. Aliens, real living aliens, not ruins, but a thriving civilization hiding somehow from Alliance scans. Olivia knew the first contact protocols by heart. Observe from a distance, do not engage without. Backup signal the ship and wait for diplomatic team. But her communicator remained dead, and something pulled her forward, a feeling she could not explain. She slipped inside the structure when no one was looking. The interior glowed with soft blue, light coming from nowhere and everywhere. The walls were covered in images showing tall, elegant beings with pointed ears and strange eyes. These beings stood beside massive winged creatures that looked like the dragons from Earth legends. The murals told a story. Olivia could feel it, a story of war and hiding in some kind of curse. The drawings showed the dragon-like creatures breathing fire among stars, destroying whole worlds. Then they showed a ritual where 2 beings touched foreheads, their eyes meeting and the dragons becoming calm. Olivia was so focused on the images she did not hear the footsteps behind her until it was too late. A voice spoke in a language her translator struggled with before finally converting to English. The voice was female, but with tones that sounded like several people speaking together. It said, "Who dares enter the sacred hall of queens?" Olivia turned slowly, her hands raised to show she was unarmed, and found herself facing the most beautiful and terrifying being she had ever seen. The alien stood 7 feet tall, with skin that shimmered between pale blue and silver. Her face was angular with high cheekbones and a sharp chin. Her ears swept up into delicate points adorned with jewelry that seemed to float rather than hang. Her hair flowed like liquid moonlight down to her waist, moving slightly as if underwater. But it was her eyes that caught and held Olivia. They were large, almond-shaped, and filled with swirling patterns of gold and amber like miniature galaxies in constant motion. The alien wore armor that seemed alive, shifting colors with her movements, and atop her head sat a crown of crystal that pulsed with inner light. Olivia knew she should look away. All her training told her to avoid direct eye contact with unknown species. But she could not tear her gaze from those swirling eyes. She felt something reach into her mind, gentle but unstoppable, a presence touching her thoughts. The moment stretched between them like a thread, of fate. Then a growl broke the silence. A massive shape moved from the shadows behind the tall alien. A creature with scales that shifted between green and gold. 6 limbs ending in claws that scraped against the crystal floor. Wings folded against its back. A long neck topped with a reptilian head and eyes that glowed like embers. A dragon. Not exactly like Earth legends, but close enough to make Olivia's heart stop. The creature moved protectively beside the tall alien, its tail swishing against the floor. "You have looked upon the face of Queen Lysithea," said another voice, this one hissing and rough, coming from beside the dragon. A smaller alien stepped forward, this one male with darker skin and elaborate markings across his face. The ancient law has been invoked. Olivia finally found her voice. "I am Commander Olivia Mason of the Alliance exploration vessel, Nebula Seeker. I mean no harm. I crashed and was seeking shelter." The Queen, Lysithea, spoke again, her voice sending strange vibrations through Olivia's body, making her translator glitch. "The law does not care for your intentions, human. It cares only for what has happened. You have seen my eyes. You have felt my mind touch yours. The connection has begun." The dragon creature made a sound, almost like a purr, and moved closer to the Queen, its scales heating up until they glowed from within. The male alien continued explaining. "For 10,000 years the royal line has lived under the curse. To look upon the Queen's eyes is to become bound to her. Those who see must choose union or death. There is no third option." Olivia stepped back. "I don't understand. What kind of union, Queen?" Lysithea moved forward with inhuman grace until she stood directly before Olivia. Their height difference meant the human had to look up to maintain eye contact, which somehow made the swirling sensation in her mind stronger. "In your terms, marriage," said the Queen, "the binding of minds and bodies and fates. Become my consort and anchor my mind or face, the cleansing fire of Nyx." She gestured to the dragon creature, whose mouth now glowed with building heat. "Marriage or death?" asked Olivia, hardly believing what she was hearing. The Queen nodded once, a sad expression crossing her alien features. "I take no pleasure in this law, human, but it protects us all. The curse in my blood requires a stabilizing force, or madness follows madness that spreads to my bond creature." She touched the dragon's neck gently, and when a royal dragon goes mad, worlds burn. The male advisor stepped closer. "The choice is yours, Commander, but you must decide quickly. The bonding process has already begun. With each moment that passes, the Queen's mind reaches further into yours. Soon the connection will be too deep to sever, without destroying you." Both Olivia tried to process this impossible situation. Her mission, her career, her life on Earth, all suddenly hanging in the balance because she looked into the wrong eyes. The Queen reached out one slender hand, stopping just short of touching Olivia's face. "I feel your fear, human. But know this, the bond brings power and knowledge as well as burden. You would stand at my side as equal, not as prisoner." The dragon Nyx moved its massive head forward, sniffing at Olivia. Its breath hot against her skin. From outside came the sound of alarms and voices. The hidden city was waking up to the presence of an outsider. "Your people will search for you," said Queen Lysithea. "They will not find this place unless we allow it. The city exists between dimensions hidden from your sensors. Your choice affects not just us but the future of all contact between our worlds. Choose wisely." Commander Olivia Mason. Olivia looked from the Queen's hypnotic eyes to the dragon's glowing mouth, then back again. Marriage to an alien queen or death beneath dragon fire, all because she followed a path of glowing stones. She took a deep breath and made her choice.